The banging sound that kept the hopes of rescuers and families alive, that they would find the crew of the OceanGate Titan submersible that went on their fatal dive on June 18th in 2023. On day 2 of the search, mystery banging was heard, and what was so stunning about it was the rhythm with which these banging noises occurred. So it occurred every 30 minutes, a banging sound as if someone was knocking against the walls of that submarine, as if they were crying for help, as if they were trying to make themselves heard, like Morse code or something. But was it really them? Were they still alive at that point in time? Would the hull of the Titan even make these banging noises, as it wasn't built out of titanium or steel? It was built out of carbon fiber. Would it create that sound, or was it something else? We will look into this. The recordings of these noises have just been revealed after we haven't heard anything new from the OceanGate Titan disaster in like weeks and months. So definitely, guys, we will have to look into this. The Titan disaster has shocked the world, and it still captivates us till this date. And so this new chilling mystery audio has been released. But what does it mean? Does it change the story? Does it change the assumptions that we had so far, that the Titan submersible imploded just shortly after it started its dive? Or were they alive for 2 days, just stranded on the bottom of the ocean by the Titanic? This was an expedition to explore the Titanic wreckage. Stockton Rush, the CEO of OceanGate, had this big ego that he would go down there with this, how he called it, experimental sub, which was not certified or proven capable of diving that deep by any governing entity or any marine experts. Stockton Rush had been warned from all sides. If you're interested in that, check out my channel. I have it all explained there. All the shocking details, how Stockton Rush lied and was luring paying passengers onto the sub to pay for his experimental dives. There have been dives down to the Titanic since the 1980s with the mere submersibles, with a secure hull that has been tested and certified, but Stockton Rush refused to certify because he knew that it wouldn't pass the test. But you know what is even more shocking, guys? The Titan submersible left for its fatal trip from Canada, from the Marine Institute. That is an institute and university that has the capability to vet subs like this, to give a strong opinion. They rented space on their lots. They had the Titan there. They could have stopped it. They chose not to vet the sub, but they advertised it. They even sent one of their students on the Polar Prince, on the vessel that was controlling the dive from on top of the water surface. And they would have even sent one of their students had there been an empty space. And it's shocking how they tried to maneuver themselves out of responsibility. So check out my video about that. I'll put it in the end screen. It is mind-blowing, but there's so many more videos. It's how Stockton Rush lied, how many loopholes he took by luring the passengers in, giving them a false sense of security by bringing in big names like NASA, Boeing. You have to watch these videos because this video would become as long as 3 hours. But watch these videos if you're interested in that topic. I really, really urge you. Let's get back to these noises. Of course, after the Titan submersible vanished, news were all over the world. They have only that much air left. This is how long they can survive. And then these noises were heard. So the searchers thought maybe this is something, right? So it kept the hopes of families alive while the search was ongoing for the Titan submersible. And this chilling audio, nobody had the chance to hear it up until just a few hours ago. So I'll put a link in the description to a little bit of a more detailed part out of a documentary that's supposed to come out for the 1-year anniversary of the disaster in June. But you can see a little bit of a sequence, and I think it's very, very interesting. So check that out. So the search for that sub was absolutely desperate after it lost the contact with the mother chip. And I have made a video about that as well, about the last minutes of the Titan and how the conversation might have taken place most likely. So the expedition was to the Titanic wreckage, but they never made it down there, that's for sure. The vessel imploded before that. Many say the aft was soaking, causing electrical damage that was causing them to lose contact. The aft was getting heavy, so the Titan was turning around, started to nosedive. And because the Polar Prince did mention that they might be diving too fast, but many speculate Stockton Rush didn't react. Did he think, because you only have certain battery life left, so did he think if we dive a little faster we have more time down by the Titanic? Because the problem was he didn't make it down there often. Most of the times it failed, the attempts, because of technical problems or because of bad weather. So being down there, they did not have much time, and sometimes it took them such a long time to even find the Titanic. So with a game controller sitting in that sub, having a little bit more time, maybe he thought that would be cool. So we don't really know. The symmetry of these noises, of these knockings, are shocking, and experts are saying this is very unusual. So in that documentary, there's a former Navy submarine captain, Ryan Ramsey, and he says it could be somebody knocking, because that symmetry, that time frame, every 30 minutes, that is really, really strange. So from deep in the ocean, coming from deep in the ocean, it's a hollow sound that had a very regular and steady beat, and that has caught the attention of the experts. And of course, that's why the hopes were rising that this noise could be an SOS signal being made by these 5 men on board. And also on board was the CEO of OceanGate, Stockton Rush. So it was rhythmic. It's like somebody was making that sound and repeated it in a very unusual way. And the sound was first recorded around 11:30 p.m. on June 20th. So basically 2.5 days later, after the submarine vanished. And the US Navy has confirmed the next morning that they had detected these noises. So the Coast Guard captain that was on duty at that time, he says, we don't know what it was, to be honest. They really don't know. They can only speculate. Of course, after these noises were recorded, the rescuers really doubled down on their work to try to find that sub in the depth of the ocean before the oxygen was running out. So we were hearing in the news they have that and much hours left. They have that many hours left. So until that time, after a few days, people were still thinking they're sitting there in this sub and they're just waiting to be rescued. They're running out of oxygen. So everyone thought that's the problem, because normally not something like this with a submersible that it would just simply explode hasn't really happened, right? Because all the other submersibles that did dives like this were certified and tested to the max. And Stockton Rush was so arrogant. He just didn't do it. Although there were so many flaws, So many incidents. He had to replace the hull once because at a shallower dive in the Bahamas, it was crackling. It was like making like explosive crackling sound, so loud. And his friends who were experts in the industry, who had built submersibles, who had done multiple dives, they warned him, but he didn't listen. And that was his fatal mistake. Was it out of greed, out of arrogance, out of narcissism? Maybe it was a mixture of all of that. But only after a short period of time, all these hopes were smashed because there was a search team, the Odysseus 6K. They went down to the ocean floor where the Titanic is after days of searching, and on June 22nd, that robot found the debris of the Titan, of OceanGaze Titan, around 1,600 feet away from the Titanic. So then it was confirmed the Titan had imploded. So it was probably a result of that enormous water pressure that was put on that fragile hull, a carbon fiber hull that wasn't made for something like that. And it did kill everyone that was inside the Titan in a matter of most likely probably milliseconds, too fast for the brain to even realize what is happening, for pain signals even to be sent out to the body. So they didn't feel anything. It went that fast. But probably the minutes before this happened must have been terrible, must have been pure horror for the 5 men on board. That was the tourist Hamish Harding, he was 50 years old. And then there was Shahzada Dawood, 48 years old, and his son Suleiman Dawood. He was only 19 years old. There was French Navy pilot Paul-Henri Narjolet, who has been down at the Titanic multiple times in the previous past, not with the Titan, but with other safe submersibles. So he should have known better. He once said in an interview, well, before they go down without someone that has experience, it's better that they go down with me. There's speculations that he had separated from his wife, that he didn't care about his life anymore. That's why he did it. But he's the one, he was connected with the submersible community, and he must have known about all these warnings. Why did he go along with that and let these paying tourists that had no clue, let them go on board and let them do that fatal dive? We will never know. So of course, after the debris was found and after it was clear that the Titan must have imploded, quite shortly after it started its dive, probably roughly around 45 minutes into the dive. So, but what could have caused this mysterious and very chilling sound? So speculations are that it might be the Titanic wreckage. The Titanic wreckage is deep down there. It's crumbling, it's falling apart. So the stress that's put on its body, that makes noise, and that always sounds quite scary if it's heard underwater. So it could be a remotely operated vehicle like a robot, a search robot or something, or just ocean noise. And would have been such a coincidence that it comes in such regular 30 minutes intervals. It could have also been marine life, like big marine life, or the Titan debris moving around on the ocean floor, banging against something. Although I'm not so sure that there was not really much left. There were the 2 titanium rings that were found, but the carbon fiber hull was basically torn in pieces, and I don't think that could have made that kind of noise. I highly doubt it. So probably it was something else. Will we ever know what? I don't think so, guys. There is a professor emeritus of Earth and Environmental Sciences at the University of Syracuse. His name is Jeff Carson, and he said that basically the sounds that were heard was likely just wishful thinking by the US Coast Guard. So sadly, I also think this is what it is. At the time when they heard these noises, the 5 passengers on board the Titan were already dead. They launched the Titan submersible around 8 a.m. on June 18th in the Atlantic Ocean. That's roughly 400 nautic miles off the coast of Newfoundland in Canada, and they were at the location, at the site of the Titanic shipwreck. And as I just mentioned, they left from the lot, from the Marine Institute, with one of their students on board the Polar Prince. So imagine what the parents must have been thinking when they heard about this, that a Marine Institute, a world-renowned Marine Institute, without vetting that operation and even promoting that operation on their Facebook site and website, would let a student live through that, right? So Stockton Rush piloted the Titan, and they started to descend, and then at around 9:45 a.m., so around roughly an hour and 45 minutes into the dive, they lost contact to their mothership, the Polar Prince. This was not unusual because it was technically so flawed that at almost every dive that they ever made, even at shallower dives, they lost contact, and they lost contact for quite a while. So maybe is that the reason why OceanGate, the company OceanGate, waited 8 hours to report the Titan missing, to tell the US Coast Guard that they had lost the submersible? Was it because of that, or was it because Stockton Rush had quite the temper if someone criticized him, and employees knew that, and he was basically firing everyone who was raising doubts about this submersible and about the safety of the submersible? And you'll see in my other video, the Polar Prince was saying, well, you're descending very fast. Do you read your meters? Is that okay? And then basically Stockton responded, yeah. So they left him alone. They were probably, in my opinion, and that's just my opinion, they were too scared to ask a second time, maybe to make him look bad in front of his paying customers. So as it was widely known that he had that temper. So 8 hours, that's a long time. And after they had reported it, it was a massive international search effort to find that submersible. And this news spread all over the world, and people were waiting and really wanting to know what's going to happen. And so the ships from across the globe started to make the trip there to help the search for the missing sub, because that's not a easy operation. The location where the Titanic is located itself, and then the depth, and then the weather and the waters there. So they were thinking at that time they're running out of oxygen. So later they announced, of course, that they believed that all the passengers on the sub would likely be dead and have been killed by an implosion, because also they were saying that the US Navy, that their monitoring system had picked up a possible sound of an implosion in the initial descent. And then people were wondering why didn't they say that earlier? Why did they let the search happen? Why didn't they say something? And there's speculations, and there's people saying, well, the Navy didn't want to reveal that they have the technology to determine stuff like this in real time. They didn't want to reveal this because then, of course, all the enemies of the US would know that too. So soon after that announcement was out, people are most likely dead, but they continued their search efforts for the vessel. So it was revealed then on June 22nd that debris was found at the site of the Titanic, and they also confirmed that it was debris that was confirming that the Titan had imploded. And of course, this was shocking news, and the most shocking news, I believe, for the mother of Suleiman, the 19-year-old teen. I have a video about that too. The teen's aunt, the sister of the father that died there as well, Shahzada, gives an interview that the teen didn't really want to go. The mom gives an interview. She says the teen is quite excited. It's a tragic story, and the mom, for her, it must have been terrible. She's actually German. She's from Bavaria, near Rosenheim. That's a little bit like south of Munich. So very tragic. And yeah, 10 days after the sub had vanished and imploded, the Coast Guard then announced that they most likely had found presumed human remains. And they only found a few more parts of the wreckage, but not human remains in a sense of really like body parts. Like, I think it was teeny tiny microscopic parts that might have, by the implosion, been pressed into that titanium ring that they found. So don't think about anything visible or touchable that has been found. So it's tragic, really tragic. The company OceanGate was based in Washington, and of course after this happened, they ceased all operations. Their website was gone shortly after, and no statement, nothing. So it's gone, right? It's gone. Stockton Rush's wife is still alive, and she was part of the company. And wait a few days, I'll tell you a captivating story. Like a shocking story about the wife and her connections. So subscribe, please, so that you get a notification when I release this video. And it would also be great, since we're in the middle of the video, if you could leave this video a like. And as I said, check out my Titan Submersible playlist and watch these videos. That gives you all the background information about all the people involved, about the Marine Institute. That drives me crazy, honestly, how this could have happened, but the lies and the tricks of Stockton Rush, and more about what might have happened during their last minutes. So with all that knowledge, it helps you to move further. There's maybe lawsuits coming. There's an investigation going on about the whole incident. Maybe if someone can be held liable. And so they said they will release news roughly 60 days ahead of time. They will tell when there will be results. So we're all still waiting for that. And in the meantime, right, we can't do much. We can only rely on the information that we have. The experts are saying that banging, it could have been their own search equipment even, right? Or whales, or just any other sounds. I'm a little bit surprised that they say it could have been their own search equipment, because wouldn't they know that if their equipment makes noise every 30 minutes? If you have a robot down there or whatever, I don't know, this doesn't make too much sense. A whale that comes down there every 30 minutes, it's still a mystery to me. Maybe some of you will say it's the ghosts of the Titanic. They want to be left alone. And you know what? I think it should be left alone. The wreckage has been documented to the max. In the 80s, the Mir submersibles have go down there. James Cameron has go down there multiple times to investigate the Titan wreckage for his movie Titanic. That was a worldwide blockbuster hit in 1998. So there's video footage. You can watch it from your couch. There you see so much more on a widescreen TV than pressed into a little submarine with just a little teeny tiny window where you can look through. But in case of the Titan, it was 5 other people and you only have a limited time, I don't know, something out 15 to 20 minutes down there, and they have to find the Titanic, and you have that little loophole there, and then 5 people, or let's say Stockton Rush didn't view, but the other 4 or 3, Narjolet, I don't really count him as a tourist. He was part of the crew. So at least 3 people have to share that little hole. They had a screen there, but what's the point if I'm down there and I see it on a screen? Then I can be at home and I can have my 80-inch widescreen TV or a projector, and you know what I mean, right? It doesn't really make sense. So that banging is still a mystery to me, but it seems they're pretty sure that it's man-made. So there was another guy, his name is Dr. Jamie Pringle and not Potato Chip Pringle. He was a reader in forensic geosciences at Kiel University, and he said that he believes it's man-made. And he says the ocean is a very noisy place with passing ships, submarines, fishing vessels, and indeed search vessels in this case. Yeah, that makes sense because we know a lot of boats were coming to help with the search efforts. So, and also another guy, Matthew Schenk, he's the founder of the Maritime Research and Rescue Organization, MARSAR International. He confirmed that speculation that it's man-made. So he says our understanding is the noise could have had a number of sources, and also he said the subsurface of the ocean is very, very noisy. And since there were so many vessels and boats in that area, so operating heavy search machinery, it just might have been picked up by these sono buoys that they had released. So the ships did deploy these remotely operated vehicles to search for that Titan sub, and also the mothership, the Polar Prince, was still in place, and that would have caused enough underwater noise already. So this expert also says he doesn't think it comes from the debris of the Titan, but it might rather come from the Titanic if there's loose metal that's been moved around by the currents, by the pressure that's down there. But most likely cause is, according to his opinion, subsurface search vessels. And there's another guy from the University of Sydney, Stephen B. Williams. He's a professor of marine robotics. He says whales could have caused that noise. So pick whatever you like, guys. I think the mystery about that noise is solved and debunked. So the next step that we have to wait for is that the authorities will hopefully release the findings of their ongoing investigations. And I really, really hope that this will be made public and that they will not do that behind closed doors. So that was my update for today, guys. As I said, please subscribe, check out my channel. I'm reporting about all these volcanic eruptions in Iceland that are destroying the town of Grindavik right now. The next eruption can happen at any hour, so we're waiting for that. There's so much other stuff going on, so I would love to have you as a subscriber so that I could see you again. And guys, leave me a comment. What is your opinion? What's the cause for these noises? What do you think happened? And do you think that Stockton Rush was an honorable man? If you have watched my past videos, you know my opinion, guys. So thank you so much to all my subscribers that subscribed. in my other Titan videos. It's been a while until I was able to release an update. So thank you for staying with my channels. And I promise you, I found something else. There's going to be another update in about 2 days, and then another one in about a week. So there's more stuff that I found, guys. So stay tuned. But thank you for staying with my channel for all these months, so almost a year. So I haven't forgotten about all these subscribers that did subscribe because of that topic, and you guys have asked me when will be the next video released, but I wanted to have something substantial for you guys to see, and that was it, and more is to come. So thank you very much for your support, for the supers, for the coffees you keep sending me on my buymeacoffee.com website. Check it out. The link is in the description. And now I'm really silent now. I'll let you go, guys. Have a great day, evening, morning, wherever you are.